The wind here does not whistle, it roars with the weight of 300 million years. We are standing in the high silence of the Glarus Alps, a place where the logic of the earth has been violently inverted. To the naked eye, it looks like a trick of the light, a cinematic illusion etched into the sky. But the cold biting at your skin and the ancient dust beneath your boots are hauntingly real. This is Sardona, a jagged, vertical wilderness where the mountains are upside down. Before we step across the threshold of time and witness this impossible landscape, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to join our expedition into the planet's final mysteries. It is the only way to ensure these last wild places are never forgotten. In any other corner of the globe, the layers of the earth follow a simple, sacred rule. The older rock sleeps at the bottom, and the younger rock rests upon its shoulders. But here, in this desolate sanctuary of stone, that rule has been shattered. You are looking at a geological impossibility. At the top of these peaks sits a colossal plate of deep red Permian rock, 300 million years old. Beneath it, separated by a line so straight it looks as though it were drawn by a god, lies a layer of grey fleisch rock, a mere 30 million years old. The elders have climbed on top of the youth. A mountain range has been scalped, flipped, and dragged over itself in a tectonic war that lasted for eons. This is the magic line. It is a razor-sharp contact zone that runs across the face of the Chingleherne peaks like a scar from a primordial battle. To touch this line is to place your hand between two eras of time that were never meant to meet. The texture of the ancient Vericano rock is rough, orange-tinted, and weathered by the radiation of a younger sun, while the rock below is soft, fragile, and dark. Standing here, the scale of the violence becomes overwhelming. You are witnessing the exact moment the African and European tectonic plates collided with such ferocity that the crust of the earth simply snapped, folding over like a wave of stone frozen in mid-air. The air at this altitude is thin and sterile, devoid of the scent of pine or the hum of human life. There are no meadows here, no tinkling cowbells, no postcard villages. There is only the orange-red glow of the Martian peaks and the deep, bruised purple of the shadows in the abyss below. The landscape feels extraterrestrial. The jagged spires of the Chingleherne rise like the teeth of a dormant predator against a sky so blue it feels heavy. It is a world of monochrome extremes where the only movement is the slow, rhythmic crawl of the mist as it snakes through the couloirs. High above the scree slopes, a solitary shadow drifts across the face of the upside-down mountain. The bearded vulture, a titan of the alpine skies, patrols this desolate kingdom. With a wingspan of nearly 3 meters, it is a ghost of the wilderness, a scavenger of bone that thrives where nothing else can. It shares this vertical desert with the alpine ibex, creatures with curved horns and gravity-defying hooves that move across 90-degree cliffs as if they were level ground. They are the silent sentinels of the thrust, watching the slow erosion of a landscape that is still, even now, in motion. As the sun begins its descent, the most surreal phenomenon of the Swiss wilderness prepares to manifest. High in the ridge of the Chingleherne lies the Martinsloch, the eye of the mountain. It is a natural hole in the rock, 15 meters wide, a circular void carved by the elements. Twice a year, a celestial alignment occurs that feels more like a pagan ritual than a fluke of astronomy. The sun lines up perfectly with the hole, firing a concentrated beam of blinding light through the heart of the mountain. For a few brief minutes, the valley floor, shrouded in shadow, is pierced by a single golden finger of light. It is a spotlight from the heavens, illuminating the ancient chaos of the rocks, a reminder that even in this land of stone, the stars still dictate the rhythm of life. The silence here is not the absence of sound, but the presence of time. In the deep winter, the temperatures drop so low that the moisture inside the rocks freezes and expands, causing the mountains to crack with the sound of distant cannon fire. The glaciers that cling to the north faces are receding, revealing even more of the hidden geometry of the Earth. These are the dead glaciers, remnants of a colder world, shrinking back into the shadows and leaving behind a labyrinth of moraine and ice-cold turquoise pools that look like sapphires dropped into the dust. Walking through the Zegnersboden, the high-altitude alluvial plain below the peaks, you feel the fragility of the human timeline. This is a braided landscape of shifting streams and white gravel, a delta in the clouds. It is one of the last truly untouched moorlands in the Alps, a place where the water decides its own path every single morning. There are no paths here, only the instinct to follow the light. The ground is a mosaic of moss and resilient alpine flowers that bloom for a few short weeks before being buried again under 3 meters of snow. The paradox of Sardona is that it is a place of extreme stillness, born from extreme movement. The mountains were once at the bottom of a prehistoric sea, compressed, heated, and then thrust into the freezing vacuum of the upper atmosphere. You can find the fossils of sea creatures 5,000 feet above sea level, trapped in the red rock of the upside-down layer. It is a reminder that the Earth is a living, breathing entity, and we are merely catching it in a brief, quiet exhale between 2 great upheavals. As the light fades, the orange peaks of the Verrucano begin to burn with a final, fiery intensity. The alpenglow here is different. It is deeper, more spectral, reflected off rock that has seen the rise and fall of dinosaurs. The magic line becomes a silhouette, a black thread, separating the darkening sky from the darkening Earth. The cold settles in, a physical weight that demands you leave, reminding you that this is not a place for the living, but a museum of the ancient. We are used to seeing mountains as symbols of permanence, as the unmoving pillars of our world. But here, in the heart of the Swiss wilderness, that illusion is stripped away. We see the mountains for what they truly are, waves of stone caught in a slow-motion storm, rising, falling, and turning themselves inside out. We are but temporary guests in a landscape that measures its life in millions of years, standing on the edge of an impossible horizon where the past has climbed over the present to touch the sky. In the end, the mountains do not care if we understand their secrets. They simply endure, watching the stars from their upside-down thrones, waiting for the next great collision to reshape the world once more. The Earth does not belong to us. We are merely the briefest of flickers in the long, cold memory of the stone.